Hello Magic fans, I'm Beef and welcome to a timeless gameplay video featuring a primarily red, green and white or Naya Winota deck. Winota was from a set a few years ago now, Ikoria Lair of Behemoths. It is a 4 mana 4/4 and has whenever a non-human creature you control attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library, you may put a human card from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains indestructible end of turn. Then put the rest of the cards on the bottom of the library in a random order. As this is timeless, this is the unnerfed version, so it happens on every single non-human creature. I think in Historic there is a nerf version where it only happens once per turn. So essentially the game plan is on turns 1, 2 and 3, or maybe only 1 and 2 if you get lucky, to get down ramp non-humans. So we have 4 copies of Boreal Grazer and knock through with Reach. And when it ETBs, you put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. And then 4 copies of Kami of Bamboo Groves, a alchemy card. And again, you may put a land onto your hand from your hand on battlefield tapped when it ETBs. Because of channel it, which means you pay the mana cost, which is 2 and a green to discard it. And then conjure 2 cards named Forest into your hand. Conjure is an alchemy mechanic. They disappear, they don't come from your deck. And then we have 3 copies of Paradise Druid, a 2 mana 2/1. It's hexproof as long as it's untapped. And you can tap it at 1 mana of any colour. So these are ramp creatures and they're all non-human. If we get these down and swing in with them when we have a note on the board, we will get 3 or 4 triggers. We also have 4 copies of Once Upon a Time. It is a 2 mana instant, but you can cast it for free if it is the first spell you've cast this game. So if it's your opening hand, you can generally cast it for free. Look at the top 5 of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on to the bottom of your library in a random order. Great way to find a missing piece, such as Winota or the missing land drop you are looking for. Moving on, we have some of our human creatures. Grizzled Huntmaster is another alchemy card. When it ETBs, you may exile a creature card from your hand. You can also search your library for any number of cards with the same name, exile them, then choose a creature card you own from outside your game, so that's in your sideboard. Conjure a duplicate of that card into your hand for each card exiled from your hand this way. So if we get this down and we've got a mana dork in our hand and we don't need to play it, we can exile it and get into our sideboard. So we do have a 7 card sideboard. We have 1 copy of Giant Killer, which can destroy target creature with power 4 or greater, and then it can come down to tap a creature as well. Bomat Curia, whenever it attacks, you exile the top card of your library face down. You can't look at it. Then you can pay a red, discard your hand to sacrifice Bomat Curia to put all the cards exiled with Bomat Curia into your hand, into their owner's hands. So you can use this to restock your hand. Haywire Might, you can sacrifice it to destroy a artifact or enchantment. They can only be non-creature one. So great way to deal with troublesome artifacts and enchantments. And one of the most popular decks in Timeless is a Show and Tell deck, where they cast Show and Tell, get down Omniscience, so they can play out the cards from their hand for free, and you can sacrifice this to destroy Omniscience. Remorseful Cleric, a creature that comes down, exiles target player's graveyard, so great against graveyard decks. Another copy of Boromir, we'll get to in a second. Another copy of Winota, and then 1 copy of Yasharn, Implacable Earth. It gets you a Forest and a Plains card when it ETBs, which is good, but then also it means players can't pay life or sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or activate abilities, so players can't sacrifice treasures or pay for Phyrexian mana using their life or things like that. So if you're up against a deck that does that, this can come down and shut it down. So back to our main deck, we have 3 copies of Boromir. Boromir has, whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana is spent to cast it, counter that spell, and you can sacrifice it to gain creatures you control indestructible to end the turn. This is great against Show and Tell because, as I said, they often get down Omniscience first, and it means they can just cast everything in their hand for free. This means while this won't counter them getting Omniscience down, it will counter all the spells they cast for free. Then we have 3 copies of Winota, and then we have Natural Order. A lot of decks say play 4 of this, but I think this kind of goes against the point of Winota. Natural Order is a very, very busted old card. As an additional cost of a spell, you sacrifice a green creature, such as any of our mana dorks, and you can search your library for any green creature card, put it into the battlefield. So our targets for this are Cranehoop Behemoth, Galta Stampede Tyrant, Atruxa, and I put in a copy of Averbook Caretaker as well, which can also hit off Winota because it's a human. Gaulta when it comes into play, but a number of creature cards you'll hand onto the battlefield. Very, very powerful. Crater Hoof Behemoth when it comes down. All creatures you control get X plus X plus X and trample, where X is the number of creatures you control. Atraxa, 7/7 flying, vigilance, death touch, lifelink. Comes down, you can search your top 10 cards of your library and put in one card of each type into your hand. So an artifact, a battle, a creature, enchantment, instant, land, planeswalker, and sorcery. So often you're getting 3 or 4, maybe even more cards from that. So they're the natural order targets. And then our final humans are Kenrith, the Return King. Back when Winota was in Standard, this was the main thing you were hitting off it. So 5 mana, 5/5, with a host of abilities that you can pay mana of any colour to activate. So a red gives all creatures trample and haste. If you have a spare red left over, this is a great way when you're swinging to give your creatures trample. 1 and a green, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. 2 and a white, target player gains 5 life. Great way to stabilise against aggro. 3 and a blue, target player draws a card. We don't have any blue mana. The only way you could pay with this is by Paradise Druid. And 4 and a black, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under its owner's control. Again, we don't have any black mana, but we can pay for it with Paradise Druid. And the last two, Aerodbrook Caretaker, I briefly touched on. It's a 4 mana, it's a 6 mana 4/4 with hexproof. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on another target creature you control, and it is a werewolf, so if it turns to nighttime, it gives all other permanents you control hexproof, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Very, very powerful and very, it can get out of hand very quickly. And then 4 copies of Agent of Treachery, where when it comes ETB, you just gain control of any target permanent. It's not non-land, so you can steal an opponent's land, which is particularly nasty, especially if you get down like Winota on turn 3 and you go first. Then you've got 2 lands, you nick one of them. It's a bit nasty. It also says if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. That's very unlikely to happen. So that is a deck a bit different to the standard deck that is floating around online. But yeah, I remember when Winota was in Standard and you would get it down, then you would just get down to Kenrith and there would scoop. So I hope you all enjoy it, and if you do, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the gameplay. Okay, we have a not a great hand. We'd want to hit Agent of Treachery with Winota and then a Atraxa and Crater Hoof with a Natural Order or a Gaulta. We do have a bit of ramp, but I am going to mulligan this. This is better. We can play Once Upon a Time, maybe find a Monadork, and then Boromir is good for the Show and Tell deck. So we'll get rid of Natural Order. We do need a red land for Winota and some non-human creatures. We will get a Stomping Ground. Finding a Monadork would be good, or a Boreal Grazer, or the Kami. They're thinking about it. Well, we'll play with Gentleman's Garden. It always enters tapped. We are on the draw, so if this is Show and Tell, or it doesn't really look like it, it's a mill deck. There's a Grazer. Play that. We will play a Stomping Ground. It can enter tapped. We'll play Temple Garden. That can also enter tapped. So next turn we can get down Winota, swing in with the Grazer, and see what we can hit. Assuming the Grazer survives. If not, we can play Boromir. play out of the plains. See if this resolves. Doesn't look like it will. No. It's a shame. Field a ruin in my Jetmir's garden, fine. They're going all in on mill. Play out the cami. Let's play out the Boromir. Only 27 cards left. Or a lot less than that now. 19, they only milled 8. That's not what we wanted to see. I won't search our library. I imagine they'll read ahead. Oh, a Winota would be really helpful. That's fine. We don't really need it. I did see a Kenrith. I should have paid more attention to what we had left. But they're just going to mill us out then. That's unfortunate. Up against a strong mill deck, and it countered our Winota, which meant we couldn't really do anything, and then we followed out a bit. But anyway, let's move on. We have a keepable hand. Unfortunately, we can't play Grazer or Cami on one unless we draw an untapped green source. But then Grizzled Huntmaster can allow us to get some hate cards out of our sideboard. But at least if we play County Garden, we can get a non-human that we can potentially attack with, assuming it doesn't get removed. There's another Cami. Play out the plains. If we get an untapped land, we can play Winota and swing in with 2 creatures. They've just Island Cycle Lauren revealed. So we know they're not... If they are a show and tell deck, they can't do it this turn. No untapped land, which is unfortunate. But we can get down the Grazer. I'm actually going to hold off on the Grazer. swinging for one. No, I'll play the Grazer in my second main. Then we have 4 creatures for Winota, assuming it gets through. Well, it's not countered, I mean. They brainstorm. Their show and tell. Unfortunately, we were a bit too late. I'm going to put in the Huntmaster. Yeah, they just get omniscience. We were returned too late. If we drew the untapped land, we could Winota and hopefully get a Boromir, but that's just the power of show and tell. Let's move on. We are on the play with a poor hand, unfortunately. We're going to have to mulligan this. That's a little better, but not great. We do have Winota and a non-human. So I'll keep and put away the Agent of Treachery. But we still do need a red land for Winota, which I'll play Once Upon a Time now, and get the Stomping Ground. Play the Cami, put the Stomping Ground into play, and then just play the Forest. So at least next turn we can get Winota down and swing in with the Cami and hopefully hit another Kenrith. Play this on white. Won't be the greatest Winota, but we do get a Agent of Treachery. Let's steal one of their DRCs. And next turn we can get Kenrith down. It's a shame all these are humans. Yeah, that's really annoying. Cradle Hoof's not ideal, but hopefully with Kenrith we can maybe gain some life. Very creature trample. I'll play the garden because now we're only 2 away from Crater Hoof, and I will gain some life. And then let's swing in. Obviously they've got 8 in the air, 3 in the air, sorry. That's probably not going to be enough. but it's not. There we are. No, not the best Winota example. We only managed to do a Winota once, but it still managed to get an Agent of Treachery, which is a 7-mana card, and then playing Kenrith being able to gain that 5 life really helped. So let's move on. We have... I'm going to keep it. Hopefully Once Upon a Time can find a mana dork, and if we are against Show and Tell, Boromir will really help with that. But I think this Once Upon a Time is going to really determine what we do. Arboreal Grazer, annoyingly Winota's there as well. Grazer, I can play Grazer and then put in the Windswept Heath. And it means we can natural order as well. Gonna crack this and we'll get a Sacred Foundry, put it in untapped, play this on green, and then play the Boromir. And we may have to channel the Kami to get hit land drops. Doesn't look like they're on a Show and Tell then. Well, that's annoying. Now one copy of Atraxa. We're against an Elementals deck. All the cards we want to hit with Natural Order are in our hand, which is a bit ridiculous. There's no even point. I'll put down the Caretaker because it can get huge. And it has hexproof. And if it does transform and we have Winota, it won't be a human anymore. Just play that, get a token, swing in. With the amount of mana they've got and the cards they've got in hand, they can probably cast 2 spells a turn, so it will switch back to day. We have 6 mana, so we're not massively far away from casting Craterhoof and Galter. Well, we'll cast Galter, because then it can put the other 2 into play. And there's the big green jelly bean. Surveil. Well, we don't have any blue mana, so we can't cast that. We're just looking for that final land. I'm gonna stay back Hopefully we get the land, an untapped land, and then we can put down Galter, get down Crater Hoof and Atroxa, and just swing in with everything. All the, well, I say everything, only 2 things wouldn't have haste.
We are all connected. Harness the elements.
That's if we're not dead. Well, there's the untapped land, so I'm going to play this on, and I suppose it doesn't really matter, but we have a lot of green. Get down Galter. Choose up to 3, so we'll get Kenrith. We don't really need land, although there is a lot of land. We will get Once Upon a Time then, and I suppose we will get Jetmir's Garden. Yeah, that was we got a bit of luck by getting that last untapped land, but yeah, we could have swung in for 1830 with trample, and they might have been out of, well, I probably couldn't survive actually. They had, how many did they have? 4, 5, 1, 3, 6, 11. No, so they couldn't have survived. And even if they did, I think just having a Troxa, which would have had hexproof as well, being a 7/7 with lifelink, means that if they attack, we just block and put the game beyond them. Yeah, let's move on. Okay, we have we could play the Huntmaster, exile Agent of Treachery, gets a Winota, and then swing in with the Paradise Druid. But we are on the draw, so maybe we do draw something a bit helpful. Against a Lurus deck, that's always quite scary. We do have something in our sideboard which can get rid of graveyards. But with the Kami, we will play... get us down on green, Kami, and get down the Stomping Grounds. Next turn we can get the Paradise Druid down. Yeah, let's get the Druid down. We'll play this on white. Won't swing in. Paradise Druid having hexproof when it's untapped is always helpful as well. Unless they have a sweeper of some kind. Just to protect my Paradise Druid, I'll shock this in. See if they have anything in response. They definitely have something, whether they want to use it or whether they just want a rope. Took them a long time to think about that. I'm not sure why. But it does mean we are kind of out of action. Drawing a Winota would be very, very helpful. Or even a natural order, we could sacrifice, say, the Kami and get a Troxer. Oh, there's another Grazer. Put our last land into play. But now essentially we're in top deck mode. Another Paradise Druid, and we could cast the Agent of Treachery, but we've got nothing to steal. It's still one of their lands, but it's hardly exciting. What do they search for? I suppose we won't be able to see it. Let's see if they counter this one. They do not. Gonna get rid of 3. And then I think we get Winota. And I'm not going to play it now because I'm sure they will just counter it. And we would miss out on an attack trigger from Paradise Druid. Didn't you see what card they got? Yeah, Winota doesn't have 3 or less, so that's not Inquisition of Kozilek's not going to do it. You never know if their good game is because they realise they can't win or they think they're going to win. Dasa's Oracle is usually a win condition, but I'm not sure what they can do with 2 mana left over. The thing is they only have 1/2 Devotion to Blue. Oh, it's a combo. So do they not have any cards with the same name in their entire deck then? Well, okay. That's unfortunate. Because what they do then is they exile their entire deck. Dasa's Oracle only has... You only have devotion equal to 2, but because you exile your entire deck, you win the game. Unfortunate, and didn't really see that one coming, but, you know, let's move on. We have a good hand. Hopefully, once upon a time, can find maybe Winota, and we're on the play. And if we're up against Show and Tell, Boromir will do a lot of work. But we can get down the forest, then the Grazer, and put in the County Garden with the Grazer. Well, once upon a time, first we don't find Winota, but we can find a Boromir. Just in case our first one gets removed. We also do need to find another red or white mana. There's Winota. We'll play this on red. And we will miss out on a Kami trigger, but I will channel it to get 2 forests, so we definitely hit our land drop, and then hopefully we can get a white card, a white land as well. Might end up being a bit mana screwed, which is frustrating. Well, there's a second Winota, but can't even cast a Boromir, so I played the pathway on red, not white. Well, a druid can play Winota on the next turn. So it's not the end of the world. Although we are only going to get one Winota trigger. But sometimes one Winota trigger is all you really need. Oh, against a Death Shadows deck. Yeah, that's fine. Let's get down Winota. They don't have any blue mana, and we're not playing any blue, so they can't counter it. And we'll swing in with the Grazer and hopefully hit a... It's fine, we do have another Winota. Hopefully we can hit, say, a Kenrith. Or maybe an Agent of Treachery. If we still have a Death Shadow, it will just die. We're not small, we're life's not low enough yet. We probably will be in a second. Get down another white mana. Play Boromir, because if it lives, we can give everything else we control indestructible. What do we hit? We hit an Agent of Treachery. We'll still their Death Shadow. Then we hit an Agent of Treachery. And yes, oftentimes when you're facing Winota, once you get that first swing in, you just scoop. Yeah. But we did struggle a bit with mana there. Might have a look at the mana base at some point. But yeah, a good result. Let's move on. We have okay hand. Hopefully once upon a time can find red mana or maybe Winota, or we destroy into it and then we can have a bit of ramp as well. And Kenrith, while it is one of our ideal Winota hits, it's not that hard to play it at only 5 mana. I'm guessing by their mulliganing, this is show and tell. So actually, we may want to find a Boromir. Get the Druid. A Passager would be okay as well, because usually they show and tell in an Omniscience. Okay, maybe it's not show and tell. Well, there's a Winota, and we can play it on on 3, sorry, the Paradise Druid. We would lose a trigger. Oh, they're doing the like Narco Amoeba, I think. Prize Amalgam. Yeah, Bloodghast. Reanimator deck. So we'll play out. Gonna play out this on green. We'll play Paradise Druid. Play Cami. And hopefully next turn we can get 2 Winota triggers. Well, hopefully we can get 3. Hopefully we draw an untapped red source. That is not an untapped red source, but we can still swing in and get 2 triggers. Yeah. Again, as I said earlier, even just 1 swing. We could have got Agent of Treachery and so on their untapped land, or Boromir to help stop any kind of shenanigans. But yeah, good result. Let's move on. Okay, we've got an alright hand. We would need to draw a lot more land and Winota, so I think I'm going to mulligan. This is better. We can put back the Agent of Treachery, play a County Garden to get a non-human creature, and play Once Upon a Time to hopefully find something. We will get down. We'll grab a Arboreal Glazer. We will still need to find 1 more land. Against an equipment deck. There is the other land. Might as well get down to Boromir. If they've got a counter spell, we might get it out of their hand. It does. Well, hopefully they'll tap out so we can play Winona. They do have 5 mana, which is a bit scary. Well, they only have 1 white or blue mana. So I say we go for it. We get a Boromir, trade is countered, and we get a gonna get an Agent of Treachery and steal their Hallowed Fountain. Which, yeah, they could have destroyed the Hallowed Fountain with the Field of Ruin, but yeah, taking one of their lands. We could have got Kenrith to get in for a bit more damage and generate more value in the long run. But yeah, you get in 1 Winota swing and chances are they're going to scoop. Let's move on. Hello Magic fans and welcome back to the wrap up. We played 10 matches with this deck and we had a win rate of 6%, of which on the play we won all 4 times, but on the draw we only won 33% of the time. That is a pretty good win rate, and it'll be interesting to see if it stacks up over a larger data set. We only played show and tell once, and we did lose. It took us a while to get going and we couldn't get our Boromir out of time, which is a shame. I would have liked to have played it more and seen if this deck really was a counter to it. But it's a very powerful deck, and even if you can't get your Winota game plan going, there is that secondary game plan of natural order on to get out maybe an Atraxa or a Galta or a Kratos Behemoth. And in fact, one game we didn't even do that. We managed to, we got all three of those cards into our hand, which is an issue because they're not in your library to search up. But we did get up enough mana to hardcast Galta, which then when that ATBs, we could put Atraxa and Kratos into play, and it just caused the opponent to scoop. So a very powerful deck when it gets going. Like all pseudo combo decks, if you don't get your pieces or you can't get what you need to do done, it doesn't really work. And I think we did see that a few times. But overall, a very fun deck. I remember playing against it back in Standard. It was very frustrating to play against, but also a very fun deck to play. I hope you all enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. And if you did, please remember to like and subscribe. And I'll see you all in my next video.